Okay, guys, it's Big Bad Brooksy. Back with some more JoJo stuff and some theories I just want to throw out there and see what people think. I have been thinking about this a while through watching all the JoJos and stuff, and it seems like I'm the only one who's thought of this because I've never talked to anybody that's been like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." So I just want to throw it out there to people and see what they thought. This is a theory of mine that I've come up with is about Dio Stan and his true ability. I think is a copycat ability other than to stop time. Obviously, it's canon that his ability is to stop time. That's his ability. But if you stick with me through this whole video, I may convince you that it is a copycat Stan by proving that he uses every Joestar's ability at least once. And so instead of stopping time being his main ability, his ability would be to be able to use every Joestar ability, other than just stopping time. Also, I'm thinking that since his stand copies all the Joestar abilities, it's not as powerful as theirs because it's a copycat version of it. So I feel like everybody else's stand is like 100% and his is like 50%. And I will explain further on into that. The reason that why his is so powerful is that he has actually trained his abilities. So it looks like he has the full potential or that it's his ability. But honestly, it's just because he's actually put the time in to train and learn the ability. Unlike if you realize in Stardust Crusaders, everybody had just gained their ability. No one really knew what it was. Even Joseph was like, hey, I have this strange ability, and this is what it can kind of do. And then throughout the journey, their abilities grew, but they never actually took time to train him. It's like with Jotaro, where he didn't even know what he had; he just thought it was an evil spirit. So I feel like since none of them had training, it made Dio look like he was way more powerful. But if they would have took the time and put in the effort that Dio did to learn, their stands would have surpassed what his stand could have done. But let's jump into it. So we'll start with Dio and the facts that we know. Obviously, Dio can stop time, and Jotaro can stop time. As we know, Dio got more powerful with more of the Joestar blood when he took Joseph's blood and healed himself to complete his transformation into Jonathan's body, which I feel like made him even more powerful at the time, even though Jotaro's stand was starting to catch up, which is kind of proves my theory of why I feel like their stands are the original and more powerful is it took him like all this time to learn and move through time and stuff. But once Jotaro realized that his stand could stop time and that's what it was, he started picking up on it quick and was able to do all that in like mere seconds of a fight and was able to actually learn and his stand was able to do everything took forever to do. It's just he needed more training to get stronger to stop time longer. Where that Dio had that time to push it to the limit. But as we see, Dio was actually able to stop time for 11 seconds when he got the Joestar blood. And with Star Platinum, like I was saying, if he would have had more training because he was able to stop for 5 seconds in Stardust Crusaders, is what he pushed it to the limit when he beat Dio. But then he stopped and didn't practice it, so it went down to 2 seconds. But then later on in Stone Ocean, he, I guess, trained it again after realizing finally, hey, I might have to battle more stands. So he was able to stop her for 5 seconds again. Which, just the fact that he can just in an instant just gain more time just by experience makes me feel like his stand is the original of stopping time. Plus, if he would have practiced, I guarantee he could have got to 10 seconds or 11 seconds, just like Dio, if he actually spent the time. But, he never thought, hey, I'm going to have to go battle another battle right away or anything. So I feel like that's why he was only able to stop time for 5 seconds because he never actually trained it like Dio did. But anyways, that's the first one. We obviously know they can both stop time. That's the whole point of Stardust Crusaders. Next, we're leading into with Joseph Joestar and Hermit Purple. Obviously, we see Dio using Hermit Purple in these two pictures next to Joseph. Now, some people may have caught this, some people may have not during Stardust Crusaders, but he obviously uses Hermit Purple. And Hermit Purple is purple vines. I just want to make that clear for later on when I talk about another ability that has to do with thorns. That Hermit Purple has always been a purple vines, and as we can see, there's him smashing the camera. Exactly the same stand. So he uses Hermit Purple. That's the second stand down. Some people say, well, his vines are different. They're red. And if most people didn't know this, Jonathan, actually, his real stand ability would have been Hermit Purple too, but it was called the Passion. So some people say, well, he has the Passion. That's what it is. And it can do all this other stuff. But I mean, it's literally just Hermit Purple. That's what it is. It's purple vines. In this instant, when you see him with the red vines, like there and here, it's because the color change. They does the JoJo color change because obviously Dio does not have blue hair and Pet Shop is not yellow. So in every other scene, when he uses Hermit Purple, it is purple. It's just vines, and it gives him the abilities exactly as Joseph has, except again, his is stronger because he has trained it. Now that we got the two out of the way that we have seen him use, now I'm going to take it to the most interesting one. Holly Stand. A lot of people say we never got to see Holly Stand. We don't know what Holly Stand does. But I would say we actually do know what Holly Stand does and have seen it. I just feel like nobody has caught this because I'm the only one that ever like points it out to my friends. They're like, huh, I've never noticed that. I'm thinking, why has no one ever talked about this? Clearly, Dio has this stand, and he has used it in the anime, and no one's ever seen it. So I'm gonna break this down. Holly stand, as you can see in these pictures of the manga and the anime, it is green vines. This is what I was talking about earlier with purple hermit being purple vines. That's all they are. These ones are green vines with little red flowers. As you can see, they can spread out and grow pretty far. But again, they are green vines with little red flowers. Just want to make sure that people realize that for what I'm about to explain next. Now, let me take you to where Dio first meets Kakarine, and they're in this like area. You see, again, these green vines with red flowers. Of course, his are roses, and like I keep saying, he has trained so his is more powerful, so we get to see the full use of this stand. That is definitely Holly's stand. After I show you this, I feel like people are going to be like, I can't believe I never realized this. But he definitely uses Holly's stand, and we definitely get to see what it does. Even though people have, I guess, not noticed it. And again, this might be far-fetched of what his Holly stand is, but he's definitely used it. I'm going to say I think Holly stand is the flesh bugs that he's using. And the reason that is, stand is supposed to mean like what your soul is. And since Holly is such a nice person, a good person that like people want to do stuff for and help out and be around, even Kakarine, who didn't know her, is like, I feel obligated to save this woman. And she just had this personality that you want to like help her or be around her. Which makes sense that the flesh bugs do the exact same thing where they make someone want to serve them or be around them or help them out. See where I'm going with this? I think these roses and the green vines that are Holly's ability, if it would have matured, I think that's what the flesh bugs are. Because it never really shows Dio use really any of his vampire powers anymore, because I guess he's weakened because Jonathan's body is still fighting him. He even mentions it, that he's not whole, and that he can't use his power yet because of Jonathan's body's fighting him. So I feel like this is obviously could be the flesh bug's ability, and that could be what Holly's stand was. That he has learned and is using. Because we can obviously tell here that this is a stand. You can see the power radiating off it as a stand would around the stems. And even in this picture, you can see how far it's branched out. Just like in Holly's pictures, how far it could branch out. And it's all over with, again, green vines and little red flowers. Just like Holly's was. And what does he use this for when he meets Kakarine and has it all out? He then tells him that he should work for him or be his friend, depending on what you read or which version you watch, the dub or the sub. They're both good to me. I watch both of them. I do prefer the dubs, but either way, subs and dubs are good, and I recommend watching both, especially if it's an anime you really like to get like the full content out of it, see both sides. But yeah, we can even see it still lit up, and it's coming closer to him. We can even see it coming from Dio's body as a stand. It literally looks like a stand when you use a stand ability. And again, it looks exactly like Holly's stand, except more matured. And here's where it gets interesting with the flesh bud thing. When he has told Kakarine to join him, and the flowers and the roses were coming up around him, it burst into the flesh bug out of the roses and then injects them, which makes me think that Holly's stand is the stand of the flesh bugs and is a hypnotizing stand. Makes people want to serve them or be around them. And that's what the flesh bugs do. And I feel like that's actually what Holly's stand is. And no one has ever realized it. And that Dio actually has used Holly's stand, and that's what he's been using. But also there's like the coincidence, though, where I guess it gets in Joseph and he uses hormone to destroy it. Well, some might say that, well, it has to be a vampire ability because it was part of Dio and he destroyed it with the hormone. But just because it's a stand, it's still Dio's stand that he's using, and he's still a vampire. So it would make sense that since it's his flesh bug, that the hormone could destroy it. Plus, hormone can be used to destroy stuff. So I think it was just that coincidence was that it's Dio's flesh bugs. I still think that Holly would have matured her stand. This is what it would have been, because we see Dio use it here when he takes over Kakarine. Now, leading into the next one, Josuke, Shining Diamond, or Crazy Diamond, depending again on if you watch the subs or dubs. We see here that he can heal people without touching him. And a lot of people's going to be like, well, we've never seen Dio do this. What are you talking about? Well, stick with me. This one may be a little far-fetched, and I could see people being like, I don't know about it. But it's still a fun theory. And like this whole thing is a fun theory that I just wanted people to think about. Be like, well, maybe it could be, you know? As he heals Koichi, so we know from anybody who's seen Diamond Unbreakable that it can take matter and it can break it down, or it can form it back into its original. Basically, he can heal people, he can break down certain ingredients into the original ingredients. In case you didn't know what his ability was, which I assume if you're watching it this far, you probably know. Which leads me to Father Pucci when he was born with that disformed foot and had trouble walking. And as we see here, Dio leans down and lifts up his pants so you can see his ankle. Does not touch it at all. We just see him lift the pants leg and say, something's wrong with your foot. That's all. He doesn't touch it or anything. And then next thing you know, Pucci's foot is healed. Some people would probably be like, oh, he probably uses vampire abilities, you know. He could probably heal it with that. But if he did that, he would had to have made a cut or put his blood on him, or he would have had to inject him with his vampire blood to heal him. He can't just heal with vampire abilities. Plus, with this whole conversation, he literally, after doing this and healing his foot, he literally gets up and talks about the arrow, which basically is pointing to Stan's. He didn't show anything with vampire powers here. But my point is he heals his ankle without even touching it or getting or using his vampire abilities, which means he used the world and used Josuke's Shining Diamond abilities to heal his foot, which would be the fourth Joestar ability he has used and that he has copied. Now, he probably isn't as good with this one because why would he ever need to use this? He has vampire blood, so he can obviously heal himself. And he's not a good guy, so he's not just going around healing people. And even if he did, he would turn him into a vampire to make him work on his side. So there's no reason for him to really use this stand. But as we can see in this one image, that he does use Shining Diamond's ability to heal his foot. And some people be like, oh, I don't know. I still think maybe he used a vampire power or something. Even though he did not draw blood, and Poochie doesn't even realize that he's done it. Poochie's foot is just healed to a normal foot from that. And he goes, huh, my foot. After Dio has stood up. He didn't see a stand, which makes sense because Poochie did not have a stand at this point. So it would have made sense that he couldn't see Dio stand using Shining Diamond. And we wouldn't have saw it either because we're looking at this through Poochie's eyes. So it makes sense that we didn't even see him use that ability with the world, healing his foot. And it doesn't take him to actually even touch to heal. Because as you see, Josuke uses Shining Diamond, and he's not even touching Jotaro to heal him. He doesn't touch and make contact with Osuaku. And even the part with Highway Go-Go says, you wouldn't kick an injured person's ass, would you? And Josuke even says, I thought about that. I already fixed you. He fixed him before he even knew without touching him because he was a good distance away and was able to fix him without him even knowing. Just like Poochie didn't know and was like, oh, my foot's healed. What's going on? And didn't even know he did it after Dio looked at his foot. So there is my example of the fourth ability that he uses and copies. So we got Time Stop, we got Hermit Purple, we got Holly's, we got Josuke's. Also, if you need more evidence, if you remember when he hits that dude in the face, he reconstructs his bones and makes him have a completely different face. So it would make sense that Dio could reconstruct a foot and make it normal with Shining Diamond's ability other than a vampire ability. Since Dio died in Stardust Crusaders before Giorno probably even had a stand, or Jolene was even born yet, it would make sense that he never used those abilities, or he never was able to acquire them because they never even had those abilities. So his stand wouldn't be able to copy those Joestar bloodline abilities because they were never there yet, making it impossible for his stand to have those Joestar abilities. I doubt he'd ever use it because once he got Time Stop, that was his main thing that he trained, and he's like, I am powerful now. That was the one thing. That was an OP ability, so really, he didn't even need to use the rest of them unless it was convenient to him, which the only other two that was convenient for him is Hermit Purple, to know when someone was watching him, and then Holly's ability, if it is the Flesh Bug. I mean, that is kind of a theory that's out there, but obviously he was using her ability though, but I mean, that was one that he would have reason to use too. But yeah, that's Dio, and my copycat ability theory of his, of having all the Joestar's powers, just weaker than the originals. And if you made it this far, go ahead and hit me up in the comments if you like this, or if you thought it was a good theory or interesting, or maybe you just have some information about stuff that I don't know, or you just want to share your opinion on it, or something like that. Um, I appreciate it, and don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button to see more stuff like this, more JoJo stuff, anime reactions, and all kinds of stuff on my channel. Thank you for watching. This has been the Big Bad Brooksy, and I will see you later.